11 games dating all the way back to December 20, 2019. It's a storied venue, Marconi Stadium, Bossley Park in Sydney's west, and it is a mild, windy day welcoming the players on an outstanding pitch and a crowd which is building up in anticipation of what at least the home fans hope will finally be a breakthrough after 6 long years of waiting for derby success in the red and black. Marconi has been in use over the last month or two for the Australian Championship, so it's been very well maintained. Wanderers do take these games here instead of Wanderers Football Park because of the anticipated crowd. However, last season when they came to Marconi and in the last meeting between these teams, it was a 2-0 win to Sydney FC. You can see it's only 21 degrees, a bit breezy, and almost perfect conditions for football. Historically, Sydney FC 22 derby wins out of 26 total games. Wanderers just the 2 wins and just the 2 draws. 55 goals to 19 over the journey in the Sky Blues' favour. Western Sydney, the last time we saw them 2 weeks ago, it was a 1-0 defeat away in Newcastle, and they have made one big change since then. Yuan Kong, the China international, into the starting 11, moving Olivia Price to the bench. There's also been a bit of switching amongst the youngsters on the bench, with Nikita Fazari and Amy Barker out, and Alvina Kashaba and Talia Yunus in. And no spot in the matchday squad for Philippines international Janae DeFazio today. See the referees at the head of the tunnel waiting to lead both teams out onto the pitch. And it gives me the opportunity to welcome to the broadcast former Matilda Alicia Ferguson. Ish, it's Derby Day. What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm really looking forward to seeing a new player, Yuan Kong, for the Wanderers. I think they've made a couple of signings. The Korean international, Kim Seo-yoon, also known as Sunny. I think they need a bit of firepower up front, Teo, and hopefully we get an epic derby clash.
It's a busy day in the Ninja A-League. It's just gone full-time in the early game down at Control Cyber Pitch. Melbourne City winning it late 1-0 against the Wellington Phoenix. So we have one unbeaten team at least still going. Another Sydney FC about to walk out onto the pitch here, away from home, but of course in their home city. So there should be plenty of travelling support. Great to see both teams wearing their home kits. And a bit of pageantry for Sydney Derby, number 27 in the Ninja A-League. Let's take a look at the Sydney FC team for today's match. They make one change. Tori Tumeth is out with illness, and a defender, Ruby Sullivan, comes in at right back to replace her. Philippines international Madison Asen is added to the substitutes bench, and there could be a return to the Ninja A-League after 13 months for Hannah Lowry on the return from her torn ACL. Alyssa Rose, the other player that makes way from the matchday squad. There in the middle of your picture is the China international Yuan Kong. 6 caps for the national team, the Steel Roses. The majority of them coming at February's Pinatar Cup. So all relatively recent this calendar year. And she is straight into the starting 11. We've seen her fellow Chinese international Wang Ying before the international break. She's on the bench today. And there for Sydney FC, giving the high tens in the number 23 shirt, is Ruby Sullivan, just 16 years old. The defender doesn't turn 17 until January. She was away on young Matilda's duty and played both games for the national under-20 team. Both of them wins against South Korea. It's just her 4th appearance in the Ninja A-League and her 1st of the season today. Today's referee is Isabella Mosson. Assistants are Lauren Hargrave and Lucy Hungerford. And the 4th official for this match is Michaela Ryan. There on the far left of the seats in the front row is Jeff Abrahams, the Western Sydney Wanderers coach. Not too interested in talking about the history of this fixture during the week. It is a new group and a different looking team to the one that played here against Sydney FC at Marconi last season. But you can't deny that history does weigh upon this fixture. And Ante Juric, a centre-back by trade during his playing days, will no doubt be delighted that his team comes in on the back of a couple of clean sheets. They may not be prolific scorers to start the new season, but Sydney FC during his reign has traditionally been a team built on defence. In the huddle there, wearing the number 6 shirt, Amy Chisari brings up 50 Ninja A-League games, all of them at the Western Sydney Wanderers. There was interest from teams in both Sweden and France in her over the off-season, but she did sign a new contract with Western Sydney, looking to continue her career in Australia and also finish her studies at Macquarie University. Sham Khamis today is wearing number 0 on the back of her shirt. It is part of the Towards Zero campaign, a New South Wales government initiative to make the roads a safer place for all. Any death on New South Wales roads is a tragedy and one too many. Good on Sham and good on the Wanderers for playing in a Towards Zero shirt today. So Alicia Ferguson, Sydney FC will kick off attacking the right of our screens. This is a massive derby. Got a prediction? Is it finally Wanderers time?
Again, we've got to see what those new signings bring to this Wanderers team, Teo. I think they definitely, Amy Harrison pushing further up the pitch. They need a bit more firepower. But as you say, Sydney have always been very well organised defensively. Underway
in Sydney derby, number 27. Sydney FC leading the ledger, 22 wins to 2 with just 2 draws. We're underway at Marconi with the ball straight out for a throw-in to be taken from left back here by Ella Buchanan down the line. Buchanan, who was one of 6 players nominated for the PFA Player of the Month during the week. Here's Holly Caspers on the ball. The 2 sisters, the Caspers sisters, go head-to-head today. One's a striker and one's a central midfielder, so we might not see them head-to-head too often. And the young defender, Willa Pearson, returns to the centre of defence after putting in an early tackle there. First touch for Yuan Kong, not able to keep possession though. Casa and Maddie Caspers combining, but can't keep possession. There's Ruby Sullivan marking Yuan Kong. And Kirsty Fenton has got the job on Holly Caspers. Cut back by Kong, cleared out of the penalty area, only as far as Buchanan. The ball is launched out into the standing room only. There is older sister, Holly Caspers. Plenty of run-up if Wanderers want to try a long throw, but Buchanan is going to look for Yuan Kong. It bounces on. Pearson trying to avoid conceding a corner, but not able to do so. So Wanderers have started briskly out of the blocks, and Tiana Robertson continuing in goal while American Heather Hinz is out with a shoulder injury. Has a first corner of the game to defend.
Now, it looks like pretty windy conditions out there, Teo, so I think from a Wanderers perspective, you want to really try and test out Robertson. Nice in-swinger from Amy Harrison here to put some pressure on Sydney early doors.
What a statement it would be if Wanderers can score early. Harrison, near post corner. Poppy Hooks had a swing at the ball, and now a shot from the edge of the box is just tumbling onto the foot of Fenton, who clears it away. Hooks, the centre back, normally an aerial target for Western Sydney. Had it fall to her right foot there, and the Sky Blues scrambled clear.
Yeah, nice ball in. It was Yuan Kong trying to get her head on that ball. You see Amy Harrison, that nice little in-swinger. It was nice and flat too, so good delivery in there. Lots of bodies around that 6-yard box trying to crowd out Robertson in the Sydney FC goal.
Early offside here against Mackenzie Hawkesby. Now, Ish, I did some counting during the week. Since Western Sydney last scored in the Sydney Derby 11 games ago, 64 different players have played in a Sydney Derby for the Wanderers. So when you're in the dressing room and people in the media are talking about winning or losing streaks or how long it's been since your club has done something, how much do you internalise that, and how much can you compartmentalise it and say, well, I wasn't here, I'm new to the team, or I wasn't in the first 11 for most of these? How do you make sure it doesn't affect your build-up to the game? Oh,
it absolutely doesn't, Teo. I think exactly like Jeff Abraham said, there's no comparison. There's been too much change, and I think with a couple of new signings, it's a fresh start for the Wanderers, which I think is exactly what they need.
Tell you who does carry it with them, though, the fans.
Yeah,
they're the ones that are there for the whole journey.
Yeah, well, and the media as well. It's the comparisons, isn't it? You go back to the head-to-head, but that's a lot of changes. I just think for the Wanderers, like focusing on this particular game,
Kim So-yoon, Sonny, as she is known, tried to swing it across there, the Korean. It was blocked away. A couple of fans shouting for a foul. No decision forthcoming. Bianca Garlich felt similarly as she was closed down by the combination of Harrison and Harada. And now Hooks consolidates for Western Sydney on the ball with fellow centre-back Alana Cern. Cern driving a long pass out to the right. Casper's roaming. And across comes Fenton to see the ball out. One underrated thing about Sydney FC is we haven't seen Nat Tobin, as the travelling Cove, offer their voices as the away fans today. No Nat Tobin yet this season at all, so Madison Asen returns to the bench. It's a different looking Sydney defence, and that's why they've got the 16-year-old Sullivan and the 14-year-old Pearson playing in the starters today.
Yeah, and Sarah Hunter coming back into the A-League Women's after her time in Paris. I think also Riley Tanner has been a great addition to this Sydney FC team. She's doing a great job down that left-hand side. So, you know, a few changes. Again, Sydney have always been very organised, very hard to break down defensively, and have always had that attacking prowess as well.
Defensive header from Danica Matos. Knocks the ball up to halfway. It's there to be won. Harrison. The right side seems to be the flank that Wanderers are favouring in recent minutes. Fenton to Abby Lemon, today's left back for Sydney FC.
Just see how far across Amy Harrison is playing. She's a bit more progressed here, but you can see how close the Wanderers are really trying to stay in close proximity down that right-hand side. Make sure they've got plenty of numbers around the ball to maintain possession in those tight areas.
Swirly breeze, though, even though it is nominally favouring the end, Wanderers are attacking in the first half. And a Harada. Heard the shout from Alana Cern, and so Wanderers will think about switching sides. Right now, though, Cern still fancies a centre-right channel. Caspers being held off by Fenton. A good little one-on-one duel, and Fenton wins the show of strength. However, the pass is going to invite Wanderers straight back on.
I think it's good for the Wanderers also to have that focal point, quite a big stature of Yuan Kong, who can try and do that hold-up play. You can see quite physical already quite early on. And then just having Sunny and potentially Amy Harrison just kind of like, you know, finding those little pockets of space in behind her. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because that definitely takes one of the Sydney FC defenders out of that back line.
There's another look at how Ruby Sullivan won that foul. Just her second start. She made her first start in the very last home and away round of last season for Sydney FC. Here's Riley Tanner, the Panama international. Was away on international duty during the break, but not jet-lagged or delayed enough to be denied a start on a Sunday afternoon. It's always a different story if your team's fixed to play Friday night off the back of an international break rather than the Sunday, so I'm pretty sure that Sydney FC would have been happy to see the fixture work out the way it has. Here's Garlich looking to nod to her own advantage and break into the box. Combination of Wanderers defenders able to clear the ball initially. It's a big surface at Marconi, as you can see, though. The centre-back Fenton roaming forward. And then the pass hit a little skinny by Lemon onto the head of Pearson. Players trying to reorganise, but Harrison will sweep onto the second ball. Just puts it out into open field here. Yuan Kong in a foot race against young Willa Pearson, who is able to sprint to the ball and clear to safety.
Yeah, to your point, Teo, the big dimensions of Marconi's pitch, so trying to stay compact as a team and move around as a unit. Abby Lemon previously for Sydney FC trying to play that straight ball into the forward line rather than playing it out to the left and stretching the Wanderers' defence.
Sarah Hunter able to steal the ball away, but the pass is straight to Ella Buchanan. Now Harada. Not sure if that was a forcefully hit pass or a very ambitious long shot. Either way, Sydney FC have won the ball back. You can see that Wanderers are shading possession through the first 8 minutes of this game. And crucially, territory. Chisari maybe took a knock to the face with the ball. Play continues, but it runs on long. And Sham Karmas, who is playing career game number 95 today, is going to hold up play. And unfortunately for Chisari, this blow has left her on the deck. So not sure if it's drawn blood or just dazed her here. We might need to see the trainer come out and potentially administer a concussion test, because while it did look innocuous initially, it's really left her struggling at present.
Yeah, she hasn't moved too much there. A little bit of a heavy challenge. Trying to get... Just trying to see what... Didn't quite see what caught her there. She's back on her feet, which is good. Maybe just taking a little moment to compose herself.
No trainer, so Chisari can stay out on the pitch. Plays such an important role for Western Sydney Wanderers, winning the ball back, either by tackling or by intercepting passes and sweeping on loose balls. For those of you just getting into the season, Wanderers have one win so far. It was away to Brisbane in their second to last game. For Sydney FC, 2 wins, 2 draws, and they might be on here. An errant pass out of defence. Tanner needed a softer first touch, instead volunteers the ball up to Karmas, who gratefully accepts.
Well, that was a big let-off for Wanderers. Amy Harrison just kind of popping that ball back into the path, and Mackenzie Hawkesby needs to be very, very careful. Pitch looks a little bit bouncy, particularly when you've got your back or you're facing your own goal. Really got to make sure that you maintain possession in your defensive third.
Take us through what just happened here with Sydney FC nearly exploiting the Wanderers.
Well, I think it was Amy Harrison just playing that first time, rather than trying to control and maintain possession first and foremost. Having that touch, she was trying to play it back quickly, so potentially for that switch of play. But dangerous position, especially when you got Mackenzie Hawkesby around in that same area.
Pearson's going to have to hustle here to avoid conceding a corner. It actually hits the corner flag and goes out for a throw-in. See the ball accelerating off the turf in some of the firmer parts of the pitch. There's Ante Juric with the bench seated behind him. Hannah Lowry amongst those substitutes. Now the ball at the feet of Caspers, but extracted away. Buchanan, the left back, roaming into a central position to help out. Harada, now Kim So-Yun. Danica Matos lifts in across. It's going to bounce. Yuan Kong. Now Buchanan, who can fashion a shot. Kong with a header. Harrison with a shot. On target and saved by Tiana Robertson.
Really good sustained pressure from Wanderers there. There's definitely a bit of a bounce in this pitch, but they maintained their intensity, trying to win that ball back, kept trying to get to the bouncing ball first, and ended up with a decent strike on target by Amy Harrison.
It was Harrison who did score one of the 5 goals for Wanderers back in 2019 when they last won the derby. They've made a bright start here though. Sydney FC looking to punish in the other direction. Hawkesby straight to Matos. However, her clearance is sharked by Garlich. Out in front of Maddie Caspers, still yet to really imprint herself on the game. But that's a neat little pass through to Hawkesby. Back to Maddie Caspers. The shot's on here. Caspers parried, and then following in Casa, not able to get a goal-bound touch. Was arguing for a corner, and that indeed is the decision.
I really liked how Mackenzie Hawkesby just drifted into that wide position there, which dragged the Western Sydney Wanderers defender out. Cern had to come close the ball down, allowed Maddie Caspers a little bit of space. Lovely movement of the feet for Maddie Caspers, just trying to tuck that up and over Sham Karmas into the far corner.
So the away fans right behind this corner kick, hoping that Riley Tanner can put it on the money. Tanner lifts it to the back post. Karmas, a little parry away. Hunter, and both teams think it's their ball. The end result's a goal kick. Karmas is down and a little bit sore. Maybe a kick to the shins or a stepped on foot. And the trainer has been called. So it gives us a chance to look at a previous incident prior. Ish.
She looks like a little bit of discomfort there, maybe similar to what you said, Teo. Potentially someone coming down, landing on her feet. Not too many players in the box. She came out. Yeah, it just looks like she got stood on top of the foot. Good opportunity just to pause the momentum of the game as well. I think Western Sydney Wanderers have started this game really well. Definitely see that there's that purpose of trying to get that ball into those central areas up to Yuan Kong.
Brianna Edwards there. You saw her in round 1 against the Perth Glory, her one and only appearance this season, but was given the #1 gloves to start the campaign. Perhaps rotated out of the team due to a couple of the goals. And Ish, you were making the point about the territory battle.
Yeah, well, final third entries, I think the Wanderers have started well. I think there's some good combination play. There's good potential for them going forward. I think they've got a couple of different options. Amy Harrison a bit further up has a bit more freedom to push on, to come inside, to get herself in a more central area.
So a breather for Sydney FC after Wanderers the busier through 12 minutes. Is this going to swing the momentum? Riley Tanner goes to work on the wing and catches a deflection off Matos. It's going to be another corner.
And it was good defending for Cern, but Riley Tanner, I think this is where Sydney FC can really exploit the weaknesses of Western Sydney Wanderers. There definitely are, there's space in those channels, in those wide areas. They have conceded a few goals from crosses into the box, something that they definitely need to keep an eye on for today's match.
Now this is interesting. We've seen Sydney have a corner from each side and Mackenzie Hawkesby hasn't taken either of them, and so often she's been their main set-piece taker. So Sydney FC mixing it up a bit today. Sarah Hunter will take this corner instead. Near post, can't beat the near player in Matos. I don't know, that might be Hawkesby's cue to take the next one.
Potentially, but she was in there trying to put some pressure on Sham Karmas, staying pretty close to the goalkeeper, as we see a lot these days, trying to crowd out the goalkeeper, so it makes it difficult for them to actually come out and punch the ball.
Maddie Caspers robbed of possession by Harada. And in her eagerness to avoid conceding a corner, out it goes for another throw. All kids nice and sharp, getting a new ball straight to Abby Lemon to hurl it in. And Danica Matos heads it out back from whence it came. Let's see. Plenty of organisation going on in this Wanderers defence. Bianca Garlich trying to roll Alana Cern. Cern clears. As the ball rears up off the turf, Sullivan in for the header. It's going to roll on kindly, and a shot on the spin from Mackenzie Hawkesby straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, she did well there. Mackenzie Hawkesby had a little look over her shoulder just to see if anyone was closing her down. Wanted to hit that on the volley. Didn't quite catch the timing. Good work from Ruby Sullivan. Just didn't get enough power on it. Little bounce before Sham Karmas and comfortable save.
Good build up from Wanderers here. Kim So-Yoon crucial with Anna Harada. And here is Sonny on the ball now. And a good challenge coming in from Maddie Caspers to wrestle it away from the Japanese national in her second season at Wanderers. However, it's come unstuck at the feet of Tanner. So Wanderers do get the ball back. Yuan Kong, surrounded by sky blue shirts, and eventually the ball is cleared. As far as Harada, Harrison the flick on, Yuan Kong back to goal. Harrison looking for a teammate, can't find one. It's there to be one. Chisari is going to head back and reset with Cern. Looking organised as they attack, trying to pick a hole in this Sydney FC defence.
And Sydney FC are just quite happy to hold their line. They're not really going chasing Mackenzie Hawkesby, who's just holding the front line there, kind of a mid to a low block, inviting the Wanderers to try and come and break them down, try and find those pockets of space. But again, that's quite challenging when you were up against such an organised and compact defence like Sydney.
Saw Ellen Buchanan try a long throw from one side. Matos not quite the same distance, but does find Caspers. This time it's only out for a goal kick, though. Jeff Abrahams and the Brains Trust watching on from the sidelines. 17 scoreless minutes so far, but a balanced, intriguing Sydney derby so far. As Buchanan wins possession, Chisari working hard. Half-hearted shouts for a handball, but play continues. Yuan Kong knocked off her feet by Fenton. Buchanan's throw in, looking for Caspers. It's going to run on here, off Fenton. Caspers past one defender, but Fenton the recovery run, and then a crunching slide challenge to go with it.
Yeah, it was well done by Caspers, just to being nice and positive, taking that ball towards the byline, winning the Wanderers a corner.
Speaking of PFA Player of the Month nominations, Kirsty Fenton, another of the 6 players who the players themselves will be voting on for their Player of the Month. So there was a Wanderers corner in just the second minute of the game. Let's see if Amy Harrison can put this on the mark. And at the near post, it's blocked out. Yuan Kong stooping to the header. And at the post, it caught a deflection and went wide.
Well, you can see the intent from the Wanderers. They've done this twice in a row. Amy Harrison just trying to hit towards the near post, keeping the ball, the delivery nice and flat for Yuan Kong, trying to sneak that header at the near post around the corner.
I've got to say, it looked like it came off Casa, who was the defender on the post, rather than the post itself, but no corner, and so Sydney FC escaped their defensive lines.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they get yet another corner. Yeah, even looked like it came off Riley Tanner's arm, actually. Deflection, her arm was against her body, but that's 2 corners in a row, so whether Sydney FC latch onto that and understand that's probably where Amy Harrison is trying to direct the ball from those corners, that in-swinger. You can see when she's out on the corner as well, the flag is pretty much like the wind direction is straight towards the middle of the pitch.
So no goals here, but there has been one in the Ninja A-League, a game running concurrent to this one over at Cooper Stadium, where Grace Quilamu, speaking of young Matildas coming back from under-20 international duty, has put Brisbane Roar 1-0 up away to Adelaide United. So a massive game if you're watching on your laptop, your phone, your tablet, multi-screens. Hope you're enjoying the experience on a busy Sunday of Ninja A-League. Feels like they're not too far away from a goal in this one either. Chisari trying to set Caspers away. Runners on in the middle. Harrison breaking forward. Pearson comes over to guard Caspers, and the cross is turned behind for another corner. Wanderers firmly on top. Let's
see how this corner goes, Teo. Amy Harrison strolling over to take it again. Will they try and hit it in the same area? Yuan Kong hasn't been too far away, got contact on that second corner.
So the set pieces have looked promising for Western Sydney so far. Yuan Kong is going to attract a crowd wherever she goes, but Holly Casper's there. You see marking up against the goalkeeper, Tiana Robertson. Quite the height difference between the two. Here comes Harrison's corner. The pack of players all having to wheel away from it. And maybe the swirling breeze got a hold of that one.
Yeah, maybe just trying to change up the delivery as well, not become too predictable. But with the wind behind her, it's always going to take it a little bit further.
Down the line goes Lemon's throw. Didn't gain too many metres before it rolled back out. Now answered by Matos. Here's Sonny. Caspers. Chisari with a foul here on Garlich. Bit of byplay about taking the free kick quickly, but ultimately Sydney go backwards. Lemon had to be alerted that the ball was rolling in her direction, but no one from Wanderers pressing to close it down. Here's Robertson. Now Fenton with a long ball. Mackenzie Hawkesby's been a bit isolated playing up top at the moment. We know that naturally a midfielder, whenever Sydney FC have needed over recent seasons, they've deployed Hawkesby as the makeshift striker with some success.
Yeah, I think I'd be trying to play it in front of Mackenzie Hawkesby. This pitch is so big, you can see the distances between the midfield line and the back line. There's actually space for her to receive it in front.
Amelia Casa going to work against Ella Buchanan, and a mistouch offers the ball back, and maybe even a foul as well. So Cass has been starved of the ball over on that right side, and a bit of frustration there after giving possession away. Here's Poppy Hooks with a burst of acceleration. Straight onto the feet, though, of Fenton, so given away by Western Sydney. Pearson to Hunter, passing accuracy both teams would consider themselves down on what they'd be hoping for. Sydney FC's season average is hovering around that mark, and Wanderers also below 70%. What does it say about the game, Nick?
I just think it says that they're probably trying to play too many long passes rather than trying to make a few more short passing combinations. You know, the size of the pitch does matter. You can see the distance between the 18-yard box and the sideline. It's a huge, massive pitch, so you need to try and get closer. So the risk of actually intercepting or giving the ball away over the distances that they're trying to play those passes is minimised.
Through ball here from Harrison. Sonny's going to break onto it and then feed it onto Caspers. Holly Caspers, and tried to get a shot away while being closed down by Fenton. It did catch a deflection, a corner. It could have been more.
Yeah, I thought Holly Caspers probably potentially could have had a shot first time there. Maybe the ball didn't quite sit up from her, but you can see how quickly this transition can go from defending to attacking. Sunny, lovely little ball in there. She just wanted to take the additional touch to compose herself and earned the Wanderers a corner.
See the Sydney subs with their cones lined up there, going through their paces, but they're going to stop and watch a fifth corner of the game for Wanderers here. Harrison taking them from both sides. You see that corner flag not offering a great deal of evidence as to which way the wind is swirling at present. Harrison, a low tumbling corner, which is easily dealt with by Bianca Garlich. Across comes Matos. Harrison. Maddie Caspers stuck out a foot and was able to trap the ball, however, and Arata has intercepted it. Harrison, Yuan Kong, the flick. And Sullivan just pops the ball out to Tanner on the left, and Tanner one more pass for Hawkesby. Matos back covering in defence.
Yeah, like you said, Teo, Mackenzie Hawkesby is a little bit isolated up there, so you've got to start thinking, how are we getting the ball into Mackenzie Hawkesby so we can keep possession? They are trying to play those probing passes in behind the Wanderers' defence. Haven't had too much success, so maybe actually just getting it into the feet of Hawkesby so then she can link up with the midfielders.
Take a look at the territory in which the game is taking place. Possession largely balanced, with one exception there. Here's Yuan Kong. Kim So-Yun. Sonny ducks inside, takes the shot, blocked by Fenton. And now Yuan Kong able to fire and turn behind for a corner. And the corners are flowing 6 in 26 minutes now for Western Sydney.
Yeah, it was lovely skill and technical ability from Sunny on that right-hand side. Brought it back in on her left foot. Good defensively from Sydney FC. And then again, just trying to find a little half yard of space from Yuan Kung to get her shot away.
So for the first time today, we're going to see Kim So-Yun take a corner. It means that Amy Harrison is right there on the goal line in the mix of players. 2 hands on the head, that's the signal given. What does it mean when the ball arrives in the box? It's going to hug the line. Buchanan up. A cluster of Sydney players at the fall of the ball, and then eventually swept away by Sarah Hunter, but not enough to find the line. Harada, second time ball, sweeping into the box and out for a goal kick.
You can see on this left-hand side how much the wind gets behind the ball and just takes it a lot further. A different setup this time, trying to hit it nice and high into the far post. There was a cluster of Wanderers players on this 6-yard box at the back post, whereas when Amy Harrison was taking it previously, they had kind of 2 and 2 out near the penalty spot and on the 6-yard box.
Lemon, an early ball. Matos happy to stay on the right sideline with Sunny, and now Yuan Kong. Not afraid to drop into the defensive half, the Chinese attacker. And for a debut performance, has looked pretty connected with her teammates so far. Harrison, Buchanan's first touch, not quite there on the end of a firm pass. And the ball at the sideline. Both teams think it's their throw-in. Everyone's arguing. Bianca Garlich arguing the case for Sydney FC. The Wanderers have got the nod, though. So Buchanan's throw. Jasari with a little glance on. Yuan Kong. Holly Caspers. Back to Yuan Kong. Protects the ball well. Harrison. And it just bent away from the target off the foot.
Yeah, I can see the intent from Amy Harrison. Lovely little pocket of position for Yuan Kong as well. I think I would prefer, you know, nice little ball back to Amy Harrison, who was free just outside the 18-yard box. We know she's got the technical ability to strike that. Just let it come across her body a tiny bit too much. Came almost like off the side of her foot. I have seen Yuan Kong, I don't mind her movement, but she is taking herself away from the center of the pitch, where I kind of feel like if she stays in there and allows some of the wider players to try and get themselves into those positions, because there's only really Sunny in and around the central area when Wanderers get that ball wide.
There's a big developing story over in Adelaide. Looks like Tamiki Yalla has suffered a hamstring injury, and going by her reaction, the severity of which is going to have a big Asian Cup countdown and Matilda's focus. As we turn matters back to Marconi here. Half an hour ticked by, still scoreless. Wanderers shading the game, but still yet to force a great save out of Tiana Robertson, it must be said. Lots of set pieces, lots of territory, but can they turn it now into shots on target? Karmas. The distribution lacking there.
That's been reasonable play from both teams without any real clear-cut chances. Mackenzie Hawkesby had that shot on target, which didn't quite carry through to Sham Karmas. It was quite a comfortable save.
Garlich from the wing. Is that a corner? She's actually trying to keep it in, perhaps well aware that she got the last touch, and it is only a goal kick. They haven't got a lot of joy out of Danica Matos and the centre-backs that have come over to cover the right side so far in this game, and they've barely probed the opposite side. Buchanan as Western Sydney's left-back so far.
Yeah, and I think that's probably something going into halftime you're probably going to have a chat about. How can you actually move the opposition laterally? This is a wide pitch. Are you using it to your advantage at the moment? I don't think so. I think there's opportunity for both teams.
Really nice pass by Casa there to play Hawkesby into a one-on-one, and Hooks wins that one-on-one.
Just to that point, I think there is an opportunity for both teams to be able to switch the point of the attack and just maybe be a little bit more patient going from one side to the other. Once you do that a couple of times, the distances that the opposition actually have to defend become so much bigger and much more difficult.
Caspers struggling to get away from Harada. Here comes Casa to help out. Chisari made it a four-player contest. And attempts on the line to prevent it going out for a corner are unsuccessful. So Sydney FC have another opportunity here. So at this point, the ball was really trapped, and then it was Buchanan not able to convince the assistant referee that she'd been able to keep it in. Riley Tanner remains on corner duty from the right side. Up and under header and away from Alana Cern. Wanderers reorganised behind the ball as Tanner gets another shot. Inside to Hawkesby, loose first touch and then legged, and Chisari went in snapping at the heels, and Sydney FC have a free kick in shooting range. This
is a great position for Sydney FC. I would think for a left footer, Mackenzie Hawkesby, a bit of a heavy touch, but she managed to recover quite well. Chisari then diving in. Sarah Hunter over the ball. So maybe looking to put that ball along the 6-yard box. I probably would have wanted a left footer, maybe a Riley Tanner to have that. It's a great angle for this, especially with the wind at your back as well. There is space on that near post as well, just having a look how that wall is set up. Sham Karmas, yeah, I think there was that space there. Just telling him to come over a little bit to protect that near post.
Wanderers had real issues with their defensive walls and free kicks deflecting in the early rounds of last season. Let's see if this is the right setup against Hunter's free kick here. Hunter is going to go direct on target. And it's a one grab catch for Cumps.
Well, there was still a little bit of a gap, wasn't there? That angle behind where Sarah Hunter would line it up. So she was trying to sneak it in on that near post. Sham Khamis had told her wall to move over a little bit. There's still a little bit of space, but not enough power in the free kick from Sarah Hunter to trouble Khamis.
Buchanan. Harrison was maybe spent it before she had it there. The ball rebounded off her hip. So Caspers can't make any ground. Wanderers defence closing in. However, back to the last line of defence. Khamis with a shallow clearance. So-Yun comes deep to help out. Matos down the line. Yuan Kong just trying to move it on at all costs. And it's caused a bit of panic here. Caspers, well, the flag goes up for offside. Just when it looked like Sullivan and Robertson were about to abdicate responsibility for playing the ball.
There was a little bit of confusion there, wasn't there? But so much space within two passes from the back of the Wanderers in their defensive line. Kong trying to play that ball into Caspers. Bouncing ball. Must have been a very tight call. The assistant referee, a bit of a let-off for Sydney FC.
It is an interesting wrinkle, this game being at Marconi instead of Wanderers Football Park, the regular home ground for Western Sydney. Of course, the derby often gets played at Allianz or Combank Stadium as well. So it's a fixture that Wanderers, at least at the beginning of the season, know that it won't be at their home ground. They're going to have to make adjustments for different pitch dimensions, which is very much what they're encountering here compared to Wanderers Football Park, which is a far, far narrower pitch than what we've got offered up today.
Yeah, it does make a difference as well. I think the trying to play to the conditions and adjust to them and adapt to them as quickly as possible.
See, they're still the ball-dominant team, Western Sydney, but it feels like their threat on Sydney's goal has been reduced in the last 5 minutes or so. It's become a bit more of an even battle.
I think that's probably also a reflection of how much Sydney are pressing. They're putting on a little bit of a press here, but generally they've kind of just been happy to sit back and allow the Wanderers to come onto them, which allows them to have some unopposed possession.
Harrison, Caspers, great touch. Buchanan breaking into the box, but the delivery intercepted by Caspers. And that was Maddie Caspers. And now counter-attack. Tanner can't quite set Hawkesby away, but a promising build-up again, but the execution just lacking from the Wanderers.
Yeah, I think I just want to see the FC players, Sydney players, playing it to Mackenzie Hawkesby's feet. There's a lot of trying to play it in behind. I know Mackenzie Hawkesby is got a lot of energy. She will run all day. She wants to try and get behind, but it would be just nice to see her getting that ball to her feet for some link-up play.
Given away here, Casa, neither a cross nor a pass nor a shot really, but fielded comfortably enough by Khamis. 17-year-old Casa has been a regular starter so far this season for Sydney FC, and of course playing against the team she was at last season, just the 4 appearances for the Wanderers in her first Inter-A-League campaign. Here's Sunny. Kim So-Yun on the turn, keeping possession, attracting a crowd now. Sky blue shirts everywhere she looks. Chisari heard the shout from Matos. Coming through on the right. Great little sidestep from Matos. And the cross to the near post, too close to the keeper. And good goalkeeping by Robertson.
Yeah, it was good build-up play down that right-hand side initially by Sunny. But that was a great ball into the box. No one trying to get across the keeper into the near post. Robertson did well coming out to the ball. I thought Kong probably could have darted in front of her trying to get onto that cross. Decided to just hold her ground in case there was a cutback.
Harada. Yuan Kong. Yuan Kong trying to find a gap where there wasn't one. Pearson drives the ball into the attacking half, and the bend on the ball means Hawkesby is going to take possession here and take on Hooks. Hooks recovers, and the back pass to Khamis. Can't switch off because Tanner was right there pressing the keeper. Now Buchanan's got Casa for company, and Chisari, well, she's able to step away from Caspers, who backs off. Now down the right side, Matos. Sonny loses out to Hunter. Garlich keeping the ball moving. Casa cuts inside, and one really on the end of that pass as it rolls out for a goal kick. No, not quite. Carvis wants to keep it in.
Just shows how big that pitch is, Teo. Doesn't even go out for a goal kick.
And insists that Mackenzie Hawkesby come up to her and make her pick up the ball. Here's Harrison. Plenty of space to work with in midfield here. Harrison off and running, just accelerates a little bit. Now plays the pass to Holly Caspers. Caspers on a tight angle. Back to Harrison, and a really awkward height to do anything with the pass.
Yeah, it was the right idea from Caspers. A great run from Harrison, playing that ball into Caspers, continuing her run. As you said, so much space in midfield. 2 or 3 passes, and they've progressed from the back, from their own defensive third up into the attacking third, but just a bit too much on that ball from Caspers into Amy Harrison, just not able to control it.
It's half-time in the other game going at the moment at Cooper Stadium, and Benty Jansen has scored for Brisbane right on the half-time break. So in spite of losing Tamiki Yallop to injury, Brisbane Roar lead Adelaide United 2-0 in that game. However, with 5 minutes to go here in the first half, we are still scoreless. Chisari able to wrestle the ball away from Maddie Caspers. Good tackle. And tries to set Sonny away down the right. Slight challenge came from Pearson. And then too much on it for Lemon to be able to keep in.
See, in that scenario, I think I want to see Sarah Hunter actually to switch the point of attack. You've won the ball back in there, done well to close down Sonny, switch the ball back from that left-hand side out to the right-hand side where there's acres of space.
Wearing the captain's armband straight away upon her return to the Ninja A-League and to Sydney FC. Chisari trying to step out of trouble. Harada able to benefit from Chisari shielding her. It's becoming quite the duel between her and Maddie Caspers in midfield now. Happy to be patient here as the 2 centre-backs playing the ball between each other. Cern has had enough. Ball down the right side. Second ball there to be won. Hunter. Chisari. Maddie Caspers round the corner. Tanner can't make any progress as Matos steps up from right back. Ball knocked out into space. Ruby Sullivan. Saw Bianca Garlich in midfield, and now Garlich can break. Sydney FC on the move here, and the through ball. Too much on it in the direction of Hawkesby, but not able to play her in.
Yeah, it was a lovely turn in midfield. Good awareness from Bianca Garlich to be able to have a look over her shoulder. Good body position, take that touch, break a line, drive forward with the ball. And just a bit disappointing, that final pass overhit.
See a goal before half-time. Joanne Kong, the break might be on here. Brave defending from Fenton, led head first. Was able to knot it out of danger. Pearson. Lemon. Back to Robertson. It's going to bounce out to Tanner, and Tanner not able to control the ball. And both the combination of the wind and the bounce has really tested the techniques of some of the players out there today.
Yeah, it looks like the pitch has been quite firm. I hate playing when it's so windy. It is one of the most difficult weather conditions to play in. Really hard to judge the flight of the ball, especially if the wind is swirling around rather than just going left to right or front to back.
Crossfield pass has been picked off by Buchanan. Quick 1-2 with Harrison. Ella Buchanan, first time cross. Yuan Kong, just wide of the post. And when Wanderers drew up attacks for their new Chinese forward, I imagine that's what they looked like, with one exception. The ball hits the net.
Well, free header in the middle of the box. Buchanan did well, just helping that ball on. Right idea from Kong, just trying to guide the ball up and over Robertson into the far post, missing by a couple of yards, but a great chance for the Wanderers. A nice positive play.
Sydney FC definitely don't have a defender the height of Yuan Kong. Fenton is a good aerial player, but there's such a disparity between the two.
Well, she didn't even have anyone marking her, though, Teo. She was in free, like in between the two Sydney FC defenders there. So it was a free header. I think with the trajectory of the ball, it did come up pretty high, which always makes it difficult to get power on it. So she was just trying to guide it into that far post and did quite well, but just slightly off target.
Last minute of regulation in the first half. Yuan Kong. Now Matos. Sizing up Lemon, takes on Lemon, past Lemon. And as has been the case for much of this half, it is a set piece and a corner for Western Sydney, and that will take us into stoppage time at the end of the first 45. Soyun goes over to take this corner kick. Is this Wanderers' moment to strike? Right at the end of the first half, just a single minute to play with. Sonny puts it on the roof of the net, and anticlimax.
Very much an anticlimax. Slice that delivery again. There's a cluster of Wanderers players just on the back post, just outside the 6-yard box. So you would assume that's where they're trying to aim for. Up and over. Robertson Robertson doesn't have the biggest stature as a goalkeeper, so trying to get it up and over would make it difficult. But delivery just not there.
So only seconds remaining here. Centre referee Isabella Mawson has a look at the watch. Wanderers going to be able to execute in time as the ball is taken away by the Sydney defence. Sidestep from Fenton, a little risky. Nearly ran into trouble in the form of Yuan Kong, who is still leading the press from the front here. Sydney eventually play their way out of trouble. And yet the halftime whistle has not arrived just yet. One more throw in for Matos then. Headed by Holly Caspers, breaking central. Driven away by Pearson, and that will take us to half-time. So even though Wanderers' goal drought in the Sydney Derby is up to 11.5 full games, they have shaded the first half at Marconi, and perhaps they are building towards a breakthrough result. For now, though, the game is a stalemate. Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Sydney FC 0. Alicia Ferguson, let's get into the highlights from the first half. And we start with Sydney FC and Mackenzie Hawkesby, who we pointed out was isolated at times, but this chance from Maddie Caspers was arguably Sydney's best.
Yeah, it was lovely. Mackenzie Hawkesby just drifting into a wide position, dragging Cern out from her central defensive position. Maddie Caspers always trying to have a look, shifted the ball really well, great vision, trying to test Sham Karmas, just didn't have quite enough on it.
Firmness of the pitch was certainly a factor, but that header from Ruby Sullivan helped set up this shot on goal.
Yeah, it was again bouncing ball, good awareness from Mackenzie Hawkesby. She knew her positioning in between the two Wanderers defenders, just couldn't quite get enough on it.
Yuan Kong had that chance cleared, but the referee said a goal kick, so a shot that, well, who knows how it'll be interpreted. Hit the post, shot wide. Anyway, this chance for Caspers was also blocked out for a corner.
Yeah, quick transition play, good awareness from Sunny, playing that ball out to Caspers, had an option. Do I take the shot first time? She decided to have a touch, and it was defended well in the end.
And then a free kick opportunity, which Sarah Hunter put on target, but not with enough venom to really trouble Sham Cumms.
No, and this was a really good opportunity. Buchanan just helping the ball nice and high from that left side into the box. Yuan Kong unmarked in the box, just trying to help it into that far corner, but just off target.
So the stats say Wanderers the ball dominant team, lots of set pieces, but the crucial stat, no goals so far. Stay with us on the other side of this short break. We'll find out a little bit more about the Sydney FC players and run through the rest of your halftime news. AFC Women's Asian Cup starting in March. Every game on Paramount Plus. That's where to watch it. And so far in this match, scoreless between the Western Sydney Wanderers and Sydney FC. Let's find out a little bit more about a couple of Sydney FC players. We've seen Mackenzie Hawkesby in the first half, and let's check in with her injured captain, Nat Tobin, as well.
What is the best moment we've shared off the field?
Oh, off the field.
You getting married?
Oh, no, I think that was nice, but that was like about me.
Yeah, but it was a nice moment.
Yeah, it was nice. But I think the Vegas trip was good.
Oh, yeah.
We went to Vegas
That was fun.
with our partners in, when was that?
2022.
Will's birthday.
Yep.
2022. It was so fun.
We went to Vegas. But I still think the wedding is my favourite.
Yeah, because Mac was, I mean, it was my wedding, but Mac was very involved in the lead up. We did like everything together in the lead up. Like got our nails done.
The day before.
Yeah, got our nails done, like hair and makeup done. Mac stayed the night with a few of my other friends.
Great speech.
She spoke at my wedding. You organised my hens with my other friend Kim.
Yeah, it was one of the best days of my life.
Oh, yeah. I think it's always better. Like it's almost like more enjoyable when it's not your own wedding.
Yeah.
Because there's no stress on you. Like when you get married, I'll be like so excited.
Yeah, it was so
I was
fun.
just stressed.
I think like we've had a lot of good moments, but in terms of like milestones, that was my favourite.
Yeah, that was obviously amazing. But I think Vegas in terms of like
Wedding, Vegas.
Well, we went away together. That was fun.
No,
and then also, so when I was getting engaged, so Will, my husband, he like would plan this trip to go to the Gold Coast, the most romantic place on earth. Like I picked up that he would likely propose, and like Mac and Will are really good friends as well, and she was actually going to come on the trip, and he like invited her to come because she was like not working and stuff at the time. And he's like, oh yeah, come up, like we have extra room. And then at the time I was like, oh my God, that means he's not going to propose because like she'll be there. And then he proposed. And then I was like, so what are we going to do if Maka did say yes to the trip? And he's like, oh, I would have just sent her for a walk for like 20 minutes.
I remember that. That was funny.
So yeah.
So there's a lot of good days. Lots. Besties. We actually haven't had a bad day.
No.
Great combination there between Nat Tobin and Mackenzie Hawkesby, on field and off. So this is the scene at Marconi Stadium at halftime of Sydney Derby number 27. Scoreless at the moment, and former Matilda Alicia Ferguson has been watching the game alongside me. We're going to take a look at some of the chances again. What sticks in your mind from the first half is perhaps the moment that one of these two teams should have taken the lead?
Well, I think this was great vision by Maddie Caspers. I love the positivity, shifting her feet. Mackenzie Hawkesby drifted out into that wide area to bring Cern out of her central position. And you could see what Caspers was trying to do, just hit that into the far post. Didn't quite catch it properly, but it was a nice positive start from Sydney FC. And then Ruby Sullivan helping this one on. Mackenzie Hawkesby, good awareness, little hit off Chisari as well. Just Hawkesby not being able to quite catch it. Couple of corners from Wanderers were aimed at that near post. Yuan Kong couldn't quite get her header goalward bound.
And breaking into open space was such a talking point because often players would run themselves wide. Is it a case where when the width is there, you can't help but break wide when it's given to you as an option?
Well, there's just so much space on this pitch. It's a pretty big pitch. You can always tell from the side of the 18-yard box to the sideline. Sarah Hunter having a little go at a near post free kick in that previous highlight, and great ball in from Buchanan here. This was probably the best opportunity. Unmarked, Yuan Kong in the center of the pitch, just trying to get it into that far post, but just off target.
So this is what's going on around the Ninja A-League. Perth, we will take a look there. What's coming up tonight? Central Coast Mariners against the Newcastle Jets, 7 p.m. Don't miss it. Live pictures from Marconi Stadium. The Subs having a kick around in the Sydney Derby, where it is scoreless at half-time between the Western Sydney Wanderers and Sydney FC. Youngsters having a bit of fun in the Ninja A-League. And they'll be hoping to break through. There's Kush LaRue in the centre of your picture, one of the injured Wanderers at the moment. And then in the back row there, Annika Stajic and also Sienna Arate are the players not in the matchday squad. And they'll be desperately hoping that their Wanderers teammates can deliver them a goal and a win in the second half. Get to see Rue on the pitch this season. Talking about some of the players that went in the game so far, looking at that Western Sydney bench, they've got the likes of Wang Ying, the Chinese international. There's the Wanderers senior men's coach, Alan Stajic, back from men's duty with Perth, away on Friday night, where the Western Sydney men were beaten 1-0. And there are the travelling fans for Sydney FC. And Isha, they were making a bit of noise behind the goal. Sydney were attacking in this first half, but they'll need to raise their voices given that the Sky Blues are attacking the opposite end in this second half.
That's right, adding a bit of sound and excitement and flavour to this derby. It's been a pretty tightly fought contest for the first 45 minutes. Interesting to see. I think Sydney FC will want to try and address just what they're doing in the opposition's final third. They have been trying to play those balls in behind. Mackenzie Hawkesby has been a little bit isolated. I think I'd prefer to see them just play it to her feet so they can improve their link-up play.
So it's Wanderers to kick off the second half. You can still see the breeze swirling around at Marconi Stadium. The two Casper sisters going shoulder to shoulder there. We haven't actually seen them really square off in the game so far, with one playing central midfield and the other as a forward. Maddie's had her hands full with Amy Chisari for most of this game. And you can see in the background there, Kaylee Talon-Henniker has come on at halftime for Amelia Casser. So one halftime change, and Talon-Henniker, 2 of her 3 career goals in the Ninja A-League have come in Sydney derbies. So she'll be hoping that she can provide the magic touch in this game this afternoon. Referee just checking that all is in readiness before we get the second half underway. Wanderers bench, the likes of Olivia Price, Alyssa Ngsard, Talia Yunus and the Chinese international Wang Ying, all potentially waiting in the wings to enter the game. Our referee Isabella Mawson yet to be given the go-ahead to restart play. Not immediately obvious what we're waiting on. Certainly not regulations, because we've been tipped off that the halftime break has been 17 minutes, so it's not like they're waiting for a mandated amount of time to tick over. All right, we're ready to go. Second half of this scoreless Sydney derby. Who will score and break through here at Marconi Stadium? Western Sydney Wanderers with Amy Harrison playing a long ball out to the right. Alicia Ferguson, what do you make of the sub? Talon-Henniker on for Casa. A switch of right wingers at halftime.
Yeah, I think it's a real statement of intent. We've seen the attacking prowess of Talon-Henniker. I think there needs to be a bit more penetration from Sydney FC in those wide areas. There hasn't been a lot, maybe a little bit more down that left-hand side. So this will probably balance out their attack a lot better with Talon-Henniker on the right.
Here is Kim So-Yun. Kick forward, which tests Ruby Sullivan, but able to volley it away. Now Bianca Garlich turning through midfield, playing the ball to Maddie Caspers. Talon-Henniker, first touch off the bench for the sub, trying to find a burst of acceleration, but Ella Buchanan sticks to her and marks the ball, but it will be a Sydney throw. Talon-Henniker takes it quickly. Buchanan blocks it out once again. Throw in straight onto the head of Buchanan, but Sullivan will try to find a gap. Chisari fouled, and the duel between Chisari and Maddie Caspers continues. This time it's Chisari able to take the points in that little battle within the broader battle. Can be no arguments there, although maybe Chisari trod on the foot of Caspers, and that's what caused her to tumble. Yuan Kong playing back to goal. The burst here, Maddie Caspers venturing forward through the right channel. Hawkesby twisting it into the penalty area, and Sham Karmas able to dive uncontested onto the ball.
Right idea by Hawkesby, just trying to help that ball back across the 6-yard box onto the run of Caspers. After she'd played it wide, she drifted into a lovely position.
Good hold-up play by Yuan Kong, and now Caspers has sent Kim So-Yun away. A really energetic challenge coming in from Fenton, but Sonny bounces back to her feet and keeps possession with the Wanderers. Buchanan, Harrison, Chisari, really good little passing triangle from Western Sydney. And now Buchanan one-on-one against Talon Henniker. Onto her right foot, puts the cross in over the head of Yuan Kong. Matos refusing to give up on the ball and just made it a challenge for Robertson, who was still able to rake it in.
Really neat passage of play down that left-hand side. So that nice little passing triangle, little 1-2 overlapping run, getting that ball into the box, trying to utilise the strength of the wind into the far post, just over Yuan Kong's head. And good follow-up by Matos.
Promising sign with the right back bombing forward to join the attack. Garledge, the midfield trap's been set here, but Caspers is not going to let Wanderers win the ball away. Sullivan, incisive pass, found Hunter. Caspers right there, as is Harada. Then Harada just pushes it on out in front of the Wanderers players, so Fenton feeds it to Garledge. Over to Tanner on the wing. This is what Tanner likes, a one-on-one at the edge of the box. Riley Tanner outside of the foot was clever. Hawkesby and Talon Henniker nearly had the magic touch again, but a top save has foiled the winger.
Well, lovely play. Bianca Garledge giving that ball out to Riley Tanner. There was so much space here. Picked out Mackenzie Hawkesby. That's a beautiful touch by Hawkesby under pressure. And Talon Henniker as well. Just couldn't dig it out from underneath her feet. And well intercepted by the Wanderers.
Yeah, it was Ella Buchanan's outstretched foot rather than the oncoming Sham Karmas that blocked it away. Talon Henniker, who was the match winner with the only goal in the first Sydney derby last season, nearly broke through there. Sonny keeps her feet against Pearson. Now help comes in the form of Garledge. Just feel like there's a heightened level of desperation out of the rooms at the start of the second half from both teams at present. Tanner, Cern backtracking. Communication vital here because Hawkesby's going to run this out. Karmas comes through and clears the ball. Fenton. Sullivan inside. Hunter wasn't aware that Caspers was about to pick her pocket, but kept the ball nonetheless. Tanner can't get the better of Sonny, who with a little spin on the ball also can't find a teammate.
Yeah, both teams have really upped the tempo coming out into this second half. See Sydney FC really trying to change the point of attack from one side to the other. Poor decision making from Riley Tanner to turn that ball over to Sonny, but trying to stretch the opposition laterally so you can find those pockets of space. But it's actually also about keeping possession when you're not under that much pressure.
Buchanan with the throw down the line. Yuan Kong trying to roll Sullivan. Referee is pointing Wanderers' way. Yuan Kong, 25 years of age, so in the peak years of her career, recommended to Western Sydney by the Australian coach of the China women's national team, Ante Milicic. They had a pretty tough international break. I saw they lost 8-0 to England.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, the English, I mean, they're a wonderful team, aren't they? Double European champions, World Cup finalists. I mean, they've got bags of quality, but that is a huge defeat.
Of course, China are the defending champions of the Women's Asian Cup, having won the 2022 edition in India. That's the pass of Aids Tanner there. Of course, most people would have Japan, Australia, North Korea, South Korea and China probably as their big five heading into March's tournament. A winner outside of those five would be a footballing miracle, you'd have to say. It's going to sneak up on us, getting closer and closer 1st of March, the AFC Women's Asian Cup. Pearson. Fenton. Chisari. Harada outside of the foot pass, can't find Harrison. Got news of a goal in the other game going at the moment, concurrently, which is at Cooper Stadium in Adelaide. Adelaide United have halved the deficit. They're now down 2-1 against the Brisbane Roar. That game is only about 6 minutes ahead of this one. They were kicked off 10 minutes earlier. They had a big chunk of first half stoppage time. Here's Harrison with a nice little sidestep, but then a scuffed shot, offering no real danger to Sydney FC.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching Amy Harrison in a more advanced position this season with the Wanderers, being able to have a bit more freedom, a bit more creativity. We know she's a good technical player. Lovely little touch around onto the left foot. Not her preferred foot, but trying to test Robertson in goal, who hasn't really had a lot to do.
Fenton's passing into the attacking half, finding Hawkesby. Talon Henniker trying to build a bit of momentum. Back to Hawkesby. Hawkesby losing out to Harada. Caspers protecting the ball. Played it into an awkward situation for Sonny, and Sydney FC are going to take it away. Maddie Caspers just stayed patient. Not able to link up with Garlich, who jumped over the ball in the end.
It was the right idea from Caspers, but just that, again, quality in the weight of the passing, trying to chip it into a player who's almost got their back to goal. Garlich, it was difficult for her. I think trying to improve some of that technique, trying to take the bobble out of the ball, particularly on this pitch, which seems quite firm. It has been quite bouncy. Really need to take care of playing the ball to the right side of your teammate and with the right weight.
Well, set pieces were such a big factor in the first half. Free kick here by Hunter. Here's how she won it from Holly Caspers. Hasn't been quite as prominent so far through 9 minutes of the second, so let's see what Hunter can do. It's going to slide through the box. Tanner turns onto her preferred left side and then puts it wide.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of Riley Tanner in this match so far, so good to her. Try and get a shot on target.
Garlich able to keep possession out of a couple of challenges, and now Hawkesby over the bar. The best chance for either team to score in the game, and Hawkesby slams the turf in disappointment.
That's a huge miss from Hawkesby. Garlich did well, took an additional touch. Ball just bobbled up at the last minute. Hawkesby just hit underneath it, kind of stopped her momentum at the start at the point of contact. Just feel as she kept running through the ball, kept her head over it, continued her momentum going forward. That ball would have been in the back of the net.
Back pass here, Fenton's got to keep her cool, and then turns defence into attack with a really aggressive run, which she's going to continue here, and Tanner can't help but oblige. Fenton back to Tanner. Now Hawkesby determined to make amends for the miss a moment ago. Tanner. Fenton staying in midfield and then produces a foul on Yuan Kong, who'd been dragged back to help out the defence.
Well, good way to relieve a little bit of the pressure, trying to dive in there. Kirsty Fenton had made such a charging run forward and just lunging in on Kong. That was a huge miss from Hawkesby. Really good opportunity just to guide it in. I know that ball did, again, we've spoken about the bobble on the pitch, did bobble up. That's why it's super important that you keep your momentum going forward so you hit through the ball, rather than just planting as you make contact, leaning back and then the ball goes over the top of the net.
A knock to the face here of Kirsty Fenton. A little bit dazed. Immediately clear initially. There we go, trailing arm from Yuan Kong, and that looks like it hurt because it was a total blindsiding. the trainer to be called. As you can see there, even though it's the Sydney Derby, it's been pretty well behaved. I think there's 6 fouls through almost an hour of play.
Well, I think it's also just because there is so much space between both of these teams that it's hard for the players to actually get close to anyone. We've seen so many transitions from defence to attack where it's been 1 or 2 passes and they've gone from the back to the front because of the amount of space, like Bianca Garlich in this situation here.
She's starting to really take over the game here. Roaming forward, Garlich. Tanner. Matos stands off here and waits for the winger. Garlich continued her run, and the cross sits up kindly. Oh, it's wide. And Maddie Casper's turn to miss a great opportunity for Sydney FC. And they've had 2 where they really should be in the lead.
Yeah, lovely run from Garlich. She started the play, she continued her run, cut it back. Hawkesby was coming across the near post, went over the ball. Casper's just trying to wrap her foot around it, play it back the way it came, and just wide of the mark.
Casper's provided the one and only goal last time out for Sydney FC, their 1-0 win against the Central Coast Mariners. And that would have been goals in consecutive games for her. Parada. Wanderers going to be able to capitalise on avoiding going behind here because Sydney FC are now firmly on top. This derby has had a couple of big swings in momentum, but none more so than the one in sky blue favour right now. Hawkesby sees the run of Casper's, not much on in the middle, hooks it back. Hunter was falling off balance.
Yeah, it's just about those big decisions and those pressure moments. Sarah Hunter, wonderful run into the top of the 18-yard box. Another good ball got picked out. But she tried to hit that first time. She probably had a little bit more space in front of her than she thought. Could have potentially taken a touch, composed herself, and then got the shot off.
Well, Hunter has good memories of Marconi Stadium. It was actually as a Wanderer at this venue where she scored her first 2 W League goals, as it was back then, in her one and only season at Western Sydney. Hunter Urich returned to the bench once at half-time. Sydney FC have made 1 sub, and that now will be answered by Wanderers. Kim So-Yun, not her most prominent showing. Sunny comes off, and Talia Eunice, who actually missed Young Matilda's camp with an injury, perhaps has been spending the international break building up her fitness to come on and contribute half an hour here in the Sydney Derby. So first change for Western Sydney, and it's the 17-year-old Eunice who comes on.
Yeah, I thought Sunny has done all right, you know, but got on the ball, showed a bit of technical ability, made some runs forward as well. But just time for some fresh legs from Talia Eunice and a bit more creativity for the last half hour of the derby.
It's her first game in 3 weeks. She didn't play in the game immediately before the international break against Newcastle, so she looks sharp with her first touch straight off the bench here. It's her 40th game today, just 17 years of age. Of course, she did hold the youngest player record for all of a week a couple of years ago. And Matos is going to ignore her run here into the box. Casper's as it ran on. Well, there was Kong and Casper's in the middle, but Fenton is able to clear.
It was a good ball in by Matos. She had a great game against Brisbane Roar down the right-hand side. Was getting forward nice and positive, some good crosses into the box. Just picked out in between the Sydney FC defenders at that near post.
Matos, block tackle. Chisari, Eunice. Hunter. Maddie Caspers. Talon Henniker. Talon Henniker takes on Buchanan. The burst of speed. And Buchanan with a great tackle, able to win the ball away, and now can repel in the other direction. Ella Buchanan's ball over the top, not able to find a teammate though. So the good defensive work. It's been won back by Harrison to the benefit of Yuan Kong. And now it's Yuan Kong. Tried to sidestep Caspers, somehow kept the ball, but then scooping on one more pass, not able to find a teammate. Soon. Gaps everywhere for teams to exploit. Chisari. Harada. Now Talia Yunus. Guarded closely by Lemon. Harada heard the shout of her teammates to warn her that Mackenzie Hawkesby was in the vicinity. Now again, a potentially risky pass here. Composed by Poppy Hooks initially, but then the pass coughs up the ball regardless. And Maddie Caspers with the through ball. Hawkesby and Hooks comes through with physicality. And I think she knew that that one was on her if it had developed any further as an attack.
Just the turnover from possession. We're going from one end to the other. I think it's going to take one of these teams to just try and put their foot on the ball, not necessarily slow the game down, but just try and control the tempo a little bit more. I think there's been some wayward passing under no or very little pressure. That's meant we're just seeing the ball go from one end to the other, from one end to the other. I'd like to see both these teams try and get a bit more sustained possession.
Good strength from Eunice to hold off the challenge of Caspers, but Garlich comes in. That's an interesting call. It's a foul going Wanderers' way, even though it was Garlich who stood her ground and Eunice who was trying to swing her right foot at the ball. Ish, your verdict?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a foul there, just trying to get her body between the ball and the opposition. Not too much in that.
Second substitution being made for Sydney FC here, and it's Mackenzie Hawkesby whose day is over, and young Sky Halmerick is on for just her third appearance in the Ninja A-League. She's only had 22 minutes of action in her 2 sub-appearances so far. So the gold medalist and Golden Boot winner from NPL New South Wales with the Northwest Sydney Spirit is back on in sky blue here for what will be her biggest chunk of minutes so far in the National League. But right now, it's Wanderers on the attack. Matos in at the near post. Flicked away by Hunter. Avoided conceding a corner. Wanderers looking to continue their territorial ascendancy in the game here. Knocking the ball around, looking for a gap. Chisari sees the run of Matos. It's an incisive pass. Matos first time ball. Good defensive header. That was all important. From Willa Pearson, and a foul will allow Sydney FC out of trouble.
You can really see the improvement when Wanderers have a little bit more patience. They came to the right side, they went over to the left side, switched the point of attack again, just waiting for those gaps to open up. There's plenty of space out there. I think just with a little bit more patience, you don't always have to go forward. Just kind of looking and probing and having a look. There was a nice little 1-2 in towards Amy Harrison, came back out again and switched that point of attack to this right-hand side.
Here's Halmerick then, being steered the wrong way at the moment. Sullivan. Maddie Caspers up against Poppy Hooks. Caspers keeping the ball. Back to Sullivan. The back pass here invites in Yuan Kong, and she's able to win the ball off Pearson. Kirsty Fenton is back. Can the Wanderers make it a 2-on-2? Yuan Kong past Fenton. This is the moment. 3 defenders converge in, and a gang tackle on Yuan Kong is able to save the day and put it behind for a corner.
Well, it was great recovering from Abby Lemon as well, who had to come back. Yuan Kong got her head up, was having a look if she had any support. Kirsty Fenton back, Talon Henniker back, and Abby Lemon was the one in the end who came across from the other side of the defensive position. And Kong just didn't have the pace to continue on pushing the ball past. It was a tough angle. She was a little bit wide of the mark. Tough to get a shot on target.
Exciting stuff, though, from this Wanderers striker. Debut here, the Chinese international, and she'll be one of the obvious targets here at this corner kick. Amy Harrison taking plenty of time to step out her mark. You can see lots of little one-on-ones. Sydney FC have got players on both posts. The referee taking particular interest in how Abby Lemon is marking Talia Yunus here. Feels like a big moment in the game for Western Sydney Wanderers. after much anticipation. Here comes Harrison's corner. High, and first header back outside the penalty area. Second ball from Harrison, just as high, another moonraker, and it's going to slide off heads and out for a goal kick. Wanderers not really able to fashion much.
No, I think I prefer the flatter delivery like Amy Harrison did in the first half, Teo. Trying to get it into that near post, really try and whip that ball in. Kong got a couple of headers on at that near post.
Robertson's got to be careful here. Eunice has stolen it away. Yuan Kong blocked. Robertson puts a hand on the ball. The scramble continues. And Maddie Caspers clears the lines. And somehow Sydney FC have avoided conceding a goal. They diced with danger and came out with the clean sheet still intact.
Huge opportunity. Robertson trying to play that ball out. Great pressure from Eunice. Little cutback. And Kong just couldn't get it out of her feet. Was trying to place it into the far post, but Robertson made a very good recovery from that initial ball, giving that ball away. But big opportunity for the Wanderers to get on the score sheet.
Well, it was a foot save with the right foot at the key moment there from Tiana Robertson. Of course, inviting on the pressure with that pass out, which Eunice did very well to Shark. Right there, stealing it away from Pearson. There, the outstretched right foot, and then her own teammate Fenton's gone crashing into it.
It wasn't the most traditional way to actually stop the ball going in the back of the net, but I think Robertson was really scrambling to get back into position and was just desperate to get something out. May have felt a little twinge in her groin, or it was a little bit awkward. Looks like maybe a little bit of blood as well.
Sydney FC's backup keeper today is 16-year-old Elise Opadasano. Here's another look. Oh, the arm.
Yep, elbow in the head from Kirsty Fenton, her own teammate. She continued coming out towards the ball. You can see a little bit of blood that is starting to strap it up for Robertson. Little cut over the eye. Hopefully nothing too serious. She'll definitely be keen to stay on the pitch. But a big let off there for Sydney FC. Robertson, she recovered well, but got herself into a fair bit of trouble to begin with.
It's her fourth appearance this season. Only 16 career, but we've come to know her over the last 2 seasons at the Newcastle Jets. She was part of the emerging Jets originally and moved down to Sydney to play in the NPL. She's got the #1 gloves at the moment. Heather Hinds, we saw at half-time sitting in the stands, the American out with a shoulder injury. And the backup keeper today, there is 16-year-old Elise Opadasano from the Northwest Sydney Spirit. She was part of the Emerging Matildas Championship, winning the under-15 title with former Matilda Anissa Tan in charge of that team. But you can see she's taking a deep breath on the sideline there. It's always a big deal to make your debut, but even more so if you're a teenage keeper, and I'm sure she'll be both happy but also pleased for her teammate Tiana Robertson that everything seems to be okay.
Yeah, I think they've done their HIA assessment of Robertson. Kirsty Fenton came flying in, little elbow. Didn't get to see how big that cut was over her right eyebrow. There was definitely blood. You can see a little bit of swelling on the top of Robertson's right eye, so that'll be interesting to see how much or if her vision has been impaired or will be impaired for the last 20 minutes of this match.
So play resumes after a major scare in the Sydney defence. Holly Caspers, 1-2 with Harrison, and a driven clearance. Halmerick is just a step behind Hooks here, though. Karmas was hoping for Matos. Through comes Galich instead, and the ball is going to roll back to the Wanderers keeper. Well, the first 10 minutes of the half where it felt as though Sydney FC were closing in on a goal. They had 2 big chances that they missed. You see there the possession. It's a midfield battle well and truly, but Wanderers have redressed the balance, and maybe they braved the storm there as Sydney FC have those 2 opportunities for Hawkesby and Caspers go begging.
Yeah, they were huge opportunities. Oh, They definitely had the momentum for the first part of the second half. I think for the last 5 or 10 minutes, it's just been a transference of possession. There's been 2 or 3 passes, balls been given away, long balls. Again, getting ourselves into battles. Nice to see one of the teams actually get their foot on the ball and start protecting the ball and actually having some good passages of possession.
Sydney FC have a throw in level with the penalty area. Sullivan, Talon Henneke buzzing around. Yuan Kong starting deep in midfield. Advantage given here. Eunice, what's on ahead of the ball though with no Yuan Kong. Eunice waits for the run of Matos. Yuan Kong is cramped up, so she's stretching behind play. In the meantime, Wanderers are going to attack with 10. Eunice, the touch on. Holly Caspers puts the head down, but can't run the ball down. And I think one thing we haven't discussed at all yet is Yuan Kong on her Ninja A-League debut going to be able to play the full 90? That's a pretty full-on cramp going in the calf right there.
Well, her first start in the Ninja A-League. There's been a lot of distance to cover as well in this game, Teo. She's been doing a lot of running, getting herself in wider areas as well. Had that big long run earlier on and maybe just lacking a little bit of match fitness. It's one of those annoying things, sorry, Teo, when you get calf cramps. It's like getting blisters and stuff. Yeah, you can potentially play on, but the longer you actually try and push through it, the worse they get. It's not like you can actually run yourself through it and your calves stop cramping. They only get worse. So probably a good opportunity just to give Kong a little breather and get some fresh legs on for the Wanderers.
There's Jodie Ukekel getting a briefing from Tom Whiteside, the assistant coach. The American striker has only made 2 sub appearances for 78 total minutes this season, but the shin guards appear to be going in.
I love those tiny shin guards. My style of shin guards. They're about 10, probably even less than that, about 5 centimetres long. Brilliant.
Sky Halmerick has spilled possession here. Could this be the moment for Sydney? And Halmerick gives away the free kick rather than wins it against Matos. Scores all types of goals, Halmerick. Very good with her feet, but you can see from her height, she is not afraid of a header and the physicality to make position, but a little bit overzealous there.
That's right, just a couple of hands around the waist of Matos, pulled her down, stopped the momentum.
Spoke about the passing accuracy. Both teams were below 70% in the first half. Sydney FC are shading that stat now as we go to the last 15 minutes of regulation. Cross into the box is going to be volleyed away by Cern. Yuan Kong is back up and running. Holly Caspers, loose first touch, volleyed away by Sullivan. Harrison will pop it over the top. And it is stopped in its tracks by Willa Pearson. Lemon. Tanner. Hunter from defensive midfield. Sees Halmerick switching out to the right. Talon Henneke on the run. Kaylee Talon Henneke pops it into the middle, and good hands from Karmas, and had to be good.
That was nice and positive from Karmas, but lovely play from Sydney FC. They came out this left-hand side, lovely switch of play. There's plenty of space on that right-hand side and could have got themselves into a good goal-scoring position.
Talia Yunus, blocked shot. Chisari follows up. Oh, Harrison didn't trap the ball. Left the back door open. Now it's Harrison's turn to go down with cramp. That previous attack, Maddie Caspers was unmarked in the middle. Sham Karmas had to make the interception. Now this is a big moment here. Hannah Lowry is back from her ACL rehab. Suffered on November the 24th, 2024 in Unite round. Just 4 games into her time at Sydney FC after moving from Perth. Welcome back to the Ninja A-League, Hannah Lowry, and congratulations on this milestone in her rehab.
Yeah, fantastic to see Lowry back on the pitch. Hate to see so many ACLs in the game, and also it's frustrating when you have delayed rehabilitation, so great to see her back out for Sydney FC.
And the other sub taking place, Jodie Ukekel, the attacker, comes on for Riley Tanner. So Garlich off for Lowry, and Ukekel comes on for Tanner. It's worth remembering that Lowry had just been called up to the Matildas squad when she suffered that ACL in Unite round as well. Olivia Price is on for Western Sydney Wanderers. She's the scorer of their only match-winning goal so far this season in the win away to Brisbane. So she's been given 13 minutes plus stoppage here to come on and see if she can provide a moment of inspiration again for Western Sydney Wanderers. And it's for Amy Harrison, that cramp proving too much. So even though Harrison has been one of the brighter prospects in this game, this scoreless match, she's had to make way. Sydney FC through Sarah Hunter. Now Price, first involvement, of course, spent a number of seasons at the Sky Blues over her lengthy 142-game career. Sullivan takes the throw in. Here's Lowry. First touch back in action. Maddie Casper's return ball. Lowry, what a reintroduction this would be. Halmerick can't get contact on a volley. The Wanderers' defence stands strong, and now Holly Caspers. Price refused to be run into a trap and plays it back to Buchanan. Now hooks, there's the XG. We talked about those great chances for Sydney earlier in the half, but Wanderers peppering away are still shading that stat count. A little surprised by that. I would have thought the Hawkesby chance alone might have given Sydney the ascendancy, but maybe it speaks to Wanderers' persistence through the day.
Yeah, potentially. And that Talon Henniker one as well that went to the far post. It was well intercepted. Desperation in the end. But yeah, that Mackenzie Hawkesby one was the big chance of the game.
On Kong, and now Eunice. Well, it's game 40 today for Talia Eunice, and she's still looking for that evasive first Ninja A-League goal, the 17-year-old.
Yeah, tough chance to take on her left foot. Kong did well here. Lovely little ball in there. Casper's nice little touch. See what she was trying to do, leaning back and away, trying to help that ball, maybe just sneak it into the near post, but it was just a bit too far past that near post to get it on target.
Both teams committed to attacking here. We could be on for a very fun last 10 minutes. First goal is going to be so important, though. Eunice Yuan Kong is going to shoot and send it sky high.
Well, she's made a decent recovery, Kong, from going down with a bit of cramp. Maybe spoke too soon that the calves don't get better. She seems to have recovered pretty well. Lovely little turn, trying to get a strike on target. And we've seen the ball bobble up a couple of times. Just got underneath that and put it way over.
Back pass here is dangerous. Eunice able to steal it away and saved by Robertson. Wanderers must think they're cursed at this point. They still can't score in the Sydney derby, and Tiana Robertson makes a massive save.
Another poor pass in defence from Sydney FC. That is not a well-taken chance from Talia Eunice. Sorry, I'm getting my words all mixed up. She just should have scored that. She should have tucked that away. That's such a huge miss. Robertson, fine, she came out, but one-on-one with the keeper, Talia Eunice needs to be putting that in the back of the net, especially with 10 minutes to go in the derby.
Sydney FC's turn. It would be heartbreak for Wanderers and just elation for Sydney FC if they can score on this very next phase of play. Eunice, she's not switching off, right back to business, winning the ball away once, twice. Helped out by Price here. Harada's got to be careful. She's been the quiet achiever today, Harada. That pass not her best as Ukekel gets back, and Pearson's got to be careful. Eunice has got a real appetite for pressing here and is starting to wreak a bit of havoc. Should have been a goal, but she remains player to be watched on in the remaining minutes of this game. Here's Maddie Caspers trying to swing it the other way. Hooks reaches out for a little improvised half volley.
Those type of chances are the ones that give you nightmares, Teo, particularly if Sydney go on and win this derby match. She almost had a wonderful angle there, had time to pick her spot. It looked like she hit it straight at Robertson. Must do better, must be more clinical in those situations.
Just as that loose pass played her in, I was about to mention that even though it's 11 derbies without a goal for Western Sydney Wanderers, it's only a 6-game winning streak for Sydney FC, because December 27, 2021 was a 0-0 draw in this streak. And that game is, of course, famous for the Sheridan Gallagher hair pull on Taylor Ray, even though it didn't have any goals.
I remember that one well.
Wanderers owning the ball at the moment. Are they building to something here? Price straight onto the foot of Lemon. Yuan Kong, a bustling run, able to take possession. It's got 2 defenders for company, though. And the numbers are going to win out here. Well played by Pearson, and receives a foul.
Well, not a replay that Talia Yunus would want to see too many times. Had time, space. She had to look up, opened her body up, and then just hit it straight at Robertson. A pretty easy save in the end from Robertson. Maybe trying to lift it over, hit it into that far post. You can see Robertson over her right eye, how that cut and that blood starting to come through. But that is a huge missed opportunity by Talia Yunus.
Still plenty of time on the clock as well. Robertson looks locked in, though, on protecting the net for Sydney FC. Maddie Caspers is trying to single-handedly lift this Sydney midfield over the line in the other direction. But right now it's Wanderers who do seem to be standing up in defence, and they just need to get over the hump and score. That's all that's left to do here. A bit like their only win of the season against Brisbane. They have made it north of the 80-minute mark. Perhaps late enough that 1 goal wins it. And they had the chance. The question is, can they create a second? Here's Yuan Kong. What a difference she's made to this Wanderers team. Sullivan, Caspers, and Sullivan is steady but can't find Talon Henniker. Chisari. Hooks with the long ball. And on 1 bounce, Robertson is going to field it comfortably.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the right decision. You've got controlled possession at the back. You just need a little bit more patience. If Sydney FC are just going to sit in, then just keep possession. Keep moving the ball from left to right to right to left. Make them come to you, and if they don't want to come to you, just keep possession of the ball and wait for that opportunity, because it will come a time when they will switch off and a gap will open up.
So Holly Caspers has made it to the 86-minute mark here, which is the most minutes she's played in 1 game this season, and she'll be replaced by Alyssa Nsard, the 17-year-old who was also part of the Young Matildas camp last weekend, making her debut at international level at any age group for Australia in the match against South Korea last Friday week. So on she comes. Caspers makes way. And we're into the last 4 minutes now of a scoreless Sydney derby. Starting to feel increasingly like next goal wins. Harada. Nsard, the sub, new energy. Yuan Kong plays it on. Price can't get the feet right. Fenton comes in with a tackle. And Hunter and Fenton again. A couple of key Sydney FC players popped up in the right position to stop the Wanderers' forward momentum. Harada to Chisari. Price. Buchanan. Yuan Kong off the shoulder. Matos has stayed forward here. Pops it back into the penalty area. Yuan Kong was outpointed though. Ukekel straight up to Halmerick. The two strikers combining in midfield. Now maybe Jodie Ukekel can lead a counter-attack. She takes it wide. Surveys the options. And then was able to get a pass away to Maddie Caspers, and it won't have enough on it to find a way out. Yuan Kong able to play the ball square. Price looks up at Hunter. Now feeds it through to Ungsard. It's Alyssa Ungsard. We know she loves to take the game on. Defers here to Eunice. Eunice with a bending cross. Yuan Kong is up and cleared away. Offside flag was up regardless. It wouldn't have counted.
That was a lovely bit of play from the Wanderers. Ungsard driving forward, playing the ball out. This right-hand side. Kong just slightly offside. Robertson did well to come out. I think she got a little touch ahead of Kong anyway. But another good opportunity goes begging through the offside. Both teams not been without their chances, Teo, has it?
It's been a game that's become more and more fun as it's gone on. The only thing it's missing is a goal or two. It's had a bit of that derby spirit and passion in the last 10 minutes now as the stakes get higher and higher. Jodie Ukekel still looking for a moment to introduce herself properly to the fans of Sydney FC, and is going to win a corner here. Has done well enough to harass Matos into an errant touch, or has she? I think the assistant referee has overruled the central, and it is going to be a goal kick.
I think that's the right overruling. I was going to say, if Sydney FC got something from that corner, that would be hugely controversial, because it was definitely a Wanderers goal kick.
Sham Karmas is going to take her time here, take this one down to the last minute. Not sure how many minutes of stoppage we're on for here. You'd think a standard 3 or 4. There's been a couple of delays for Robertson to receive a head bandage. Cramps for Kong and Harrison. Here's the ball out to Talia Eunice, still working, still trying to find a breakthrough. Yuan Kong, dispossessed. Pearson, block tackle comes in from Chisari, and then in from behind, snapping at the heels, Chisari. What a spin that is from Alyssa Ungsard! And around the post, Tiana Robertson remains the hero for Sydney FC.
Well, the referee decided to play advantage there. I thought there could have been a free kick on the edge of the box. Chisari, wonderful work here. Had the composure, got back in, dived to get the ball up on her feet, and Sud, what a lovely turn, then held off the challenge, just trying to tuck it into the far post. That is an incredible save from Robertson.
No time wasted over the resulting corner. Maybe a deep breath was needed. It's out at the near post. The late bobble, Leash, the late bobble, and she adjusted to parry it around the post.
She did really well, Robertson, and so did Nsard. It was a lovely turn on the edge of the box. Thought there was definitely contact there. I appreciate the fact that she didn't go down. The referee played the advantage, let her get a shot away.
And she's on again here, trying to link up with Eunice. We've ticked into 5 additional minutes at the end of this Sydney derby. Are we building to a crescendo, or are we building to a 0-0 draw? This game has got better as it's gone on, no doubt about that. And we're none the wiser as to who is going to leave with the spoils. Sydney FC slow going with a couple of throw-ins and clearances. Lowry not able to make a play at the ball. Wanderers trying to run the length of the pitch. Fenton won't let them. Pearson over the head of Lowry, but she can break out to the wide expanses of Marconi Stadium. Talon Henniker, Lowry. Tough tackle comes in. Buchanan, Ungsard, errant pass. Lemon, Hunter, blocked away by Cern. Chisari puts a foot on the ball. It spills to Talon Henniker. And now Lowry again. And that would have been the fairy tale return for Hannah Lowry.
Well, trying to make something from not too much. Talon Henniker did well on that right-hand side. I still think Sydney could switch that point of attack, bring it out to this left-hand side and really try and drag the Wanderers out of position. They're nice and compact through the centre of the park. That's not the way through. But we're at that stage in the game where you want to just try and get a shot on target, get a shot off, try and test Karmas.
Ryan Kong battling in midfield. Eunice's pass, Abby Lemon combining with Ukekel. Matos trying to steal the ball off Lemon, but Lemon's done really well to protect it there. And a switch of flanks from Hunter over to Talon Henniker. Look at Sullivan still running, full of energy at the end of the 90. Ruby Sullivan, the 16-year-old, breaking forward. Cross to the edge of the box. Hunter, now a snapshot volley around the corner, and it was Lowry again.
That was a lovely switch of play. There is space from one side to the other. Ruby Sullivan, nice positive run forward. Not the best contact she made. I like Sarah Hunter being nice and positive, trying to push forward.
And Sard read the bounce better than anyone, but then knocked off the ball. More than half of stoppage time has expired here. Both teams taking swings, trying to win it. Talon Henniker, great challenge, Buchanan. Only as far as Lowry. Chisari steps up, wins the ball, looking for the right pass. Not to the advantage of Eunice, though. Lemon has had a couple of important moments in defence. In stoppage time now, Pearson. Long ball onto the head of Matos. The follow-up coming from Maddie Caspers. Halmerick tries to turn and relay the ball on. It's only a shallow clearance, though. Hunter. Talon Henniker from a standing start. In at the near post, and first to react. Wanderers clear. Yuan Kong has done really well. Fenton with a bear hug, and the whistle goes, and it's going to be a late, belated yellow card. Kirsty Fenton, the player who receives it, not Pearson. And so, in fact, I apologise. Pearson, the player who receives it, not Fenton.
The referee took a long time to blow the whistle. Yuan Kong did really well, protecting the ball, rolling Willa Pearson. It was like 3 or 4 seconds. I wasn't sure what the referee was waiting for because it was a clear foul as soon as Kong had turned.
So last minute of the allocated 5. Free kick on the halfway line. Is this Wanderers' chance? Ball's going to drop at the edge of the box. It's got to be dealt with in the air. Sard challenged Fenton, only as far as Yuan Kong. And Sard gets across away. And off the head of Pearson, it falls to Ukekel. Ukekel a little hurried in the clearance, maybe didn't need to give possession back to the Western Sydney Wanderers there. 30 seconds left, and they're going to have a throw-in level with the top of the box. Is Matos going to go for a long throw? No, wants to get the ball in play as quickly as possible, but it's straight onto a Sydney FC head. Halmerick. Chisari, a little knock of the ball away was enough to win it back. Cern hangs it high, and the header on takes it out for a goal kick, and that might be that. And a game that deserved a goal. Looks like it may not get one in the end. Ante Juric can only watch as his goalkeeper, Tiana Robertson, takes the ball to the edge of the 6-yard box, and this might be the last kick of the game right here. Stalemate in the Sydney derby. Sydney FC might continue their undefeated start to the season. Western Sydney Wanderers might end a 6-game losing streak in the derby, but neither will leave satisfied. It could have been so much more for both. It is a dirty dozen for the Western Sydney Wanderers. They have not scored for 12 consecutive Sydney derbies. And Sydney FC will be walking away how finding the back of the net evaded them in this one too. The full-time score at Marconi Stadium, Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Sydney FC 0. Alicia Ferguson, let's get into the highlights from this one. A game that did get better as it went on, it just didn't give us a goal.
No, there was some moments in the first half. Mackenzie Hawksby drifting into a wide position. Casper's getting the ball out of her feet, trying to have a shot on target, forcing Karmas into just a little parry away. This was a good opportunity from Yuan Kong in a good position in between the two Sydney FC defenders, just couldn't direct her header on target.
And these chances in the second half, they were agonising.
That was good play. I think Mackenzie Hawkesby had a lovely touch in there. Riley Tanner just picked her out. Nice little pass. It was hard to deal with. Across to Talon Henniker. And some desperation defending to stop that shot getting on target. But this was the one. This is the one that Hawkesby, with her quality, with her ability to be clinical in front of goal, she will hate to see the replays of that one, hitting it over the net, and then Casper's just leaning back and away, not really being too balanced. This was a big let-off. Robertson, I mean, giving that ball square. Eunice pouncing on it. Yuan Kong not being able to direct it into goal. And another huge opportunity. Eunice, time, space, had a little look up, could pick any spot, opened her body up, and then hit her shot straight at Robertson for an easy save.
And then in the desperate final stages, there was still one more chance here for the Wanderers.
This was quality from Saad. Great turn there. Could have been a foul by Lowry. She was just trying to tuck that in.